We've gone over 2 cases of the modular arithmetic answers. We're going to go over one more case, and then there's actually a case we're not going to cover today because we don't need it for a while, and we'll do that when we need it, which is our last topic of this section. So let's do part C here. We have 79 plus 2 in parentheses mod 9. So the first step is, what do we get for, what do we do here? Yeah, do the addition. It's in parentheses, so you get 81 mod 9. And then we can use that rule that we established from, or the rules that we established in part A and part B. And that was, if that number is greater than or equal to the modulus, or 9, then do long division and see what the remainder is, and that's the answer. So let's do that. How many times does 9 go into 81? 9. And what's the remainder? So what's the answer to 81 mod 9? 0. That's right. So that might seem kind of like a weird answer. Where is 0 in the cycle of 9? And so what that means, any guesses? What's that? Yeah, it's like at 12 in our clock at 12. Perfect. That's actually what I was going to talk about in a minute. Or it's a start. It's the start of the cycle of 9. And what Katie was saying was actually exactly what I have here, is we're talking about clocks, and so it's kind of natural to think about our hourly clock because that's probably the most familiar. But instead of like having the top of the clock or the start labeled as 12, it actually kind of makes more sense if it was labeled 0, if you think about it. You know, we usually start at 0 and then we move forward. But with a clock, you have a choice. You know, the start and stop are at the same place. So, you know, with our convention and our 12-hour clock, as we just decided, we're going to end it at 12. And we're just going to write the end time as 12 and then not put the 0 there too, or something like that. So just thinking about that, we're not going to do the 12. We're just going to label the start and end as 0 is our convention. So if you get 0 for an answer to this modular arithmetic thing, where you are in the cycle is at the start. Or it could be the end, which are the same thing on a clock, right? Okay, let's see. Can you guys do this one? What's 9 mod 9? The rule, which is off the page, is if it's greater than or equal, the first number is greater than or equal to the modulus, or the second number, do the long division and find the remainder. So what's it going to be? 0. Or if you think about it, if you have a clock that goes up to 9 and you go 9 along, you're going to be back at the beginning. So it's like having a clock here that starts at 0. Definitely not going to get the scale on this right. So these are supposed to be equal tick marks here, but 8, and then we go to 9 as the end, which is at the beginning 0. So that's the meaning there. Getting this a little bit? Thinking in cycles, and we only care about where we end up in the within one cycle of that length. So there's a surprising number of applications for this, but we're just going to do some fun ones that are, and then we'll do some kind of more complicated ones later. All right, so Chinese zodiac. Look at your formula sheet. This is actually the first thing on the formula sheet. And there's lots of things on here, but the first thing is a formula that says the Chinese zodiac sign number is equal to the year born mod 12. So that's the calculation we can do to get a number, and then we use the key below it, kind of like the Lisa Simpson problem with the letters, that then we can translate that into a Chinese zodiac sign, which is animal. So 0 would be monkey, a boar is 3, so then you could translate to that Chinese zodiac sign. So let's do this for someone born in 1952, and then I'll have you figure out your Chinese zodiac sign. And I have a book that I'll pass around that you can look up the meaning. So, and then we're done for today. Okay, so anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's actually do this. You were born is 1952. And notice that on the formula sheet, if we include the 0, so it goes up to 11, but then you got to count the 0. You know, usually we're counting starting at 1, but if we count the 0, we have 12 signs. So this is mod 12. But you have the formula there, but you know, you could come up with your own if you wanted to in that type of reasoning. So what are we going to do? How do we do this? What's 1952 mod 12? How do we do this? It's like where in the cycle of 12 is 1952? So what do I do now? Divide. Old school. Long division, right? Okay, 12 goes into 19 once. What's the remainder here? 7. Drop down the 5. So we keep going. 12 goes into 75. I might have to think a little bit harder here. It goes in 6 times. 6 times 12 is 72. Do that subtraction and we get 3. Drop down the 2. 12 goes into 32 twice. 12 times 2 is 24. Subtract that, you get 8. So the answer to that little math problem is 8. But the Chinese zodiac doesn't go by numbers. We have to use this key. What does 8 mean? Dragon. So any questions on how to do the Chinese zodiac? So many of you have probably seen this before. Where have you seen it? Those of you that have. Or you know your Chinese zodiac. Chinese restaurant on what? On the menu or the placemat? Okay, so sometimes it's given in a grid form, but actually I've seen it at Chinese restaurants before that's given in the cycle, that you actually see it going in a cycle. So you have a homework problem with this, but where you have to fill in a table with some blanks. But this one is just, I just wanted to show it to you because it has where you can see the cyclic nature, and that instead of just having all the dates listed and then having it in kind of a square grid, we can see the cycle. Like pig is 1935, and then you can see it goes to a rat is 1936, and then it goes ox 1937, and then you can see the cycle when it's displayed in this way. Okay.